Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb has once again positioned himself at the center of a growing debate over how governments handle unexplained phenomena originating beyond Earth, arguing forcefully that secrecy and bureaucracy are obstructing genuine scientific progress rather than protecting public interests. In a candid appearance on the Chris Cuomo Project on December 9, 2025, Loeb expressed deep frustration with the way intelligence agencies manage information related to unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, and interstellar objects such as 3I/Atlas. According to Loeb, the issue is not merely about classified data, but about a fundamental mismatch between the goals of national security institutions and the principles of open scientific inquiry. He believes that when intelligence agencies withhold or tightly control cosmic data, they are operating outside their area of competence, inadvertently slowing humanity's understanding of the universe. Loeb's argument rests on a clear distinction between threats that originate on Earth and phenomena that come from beyond the solar system. He readily acknowledges that secrecy is sometimes necessary when dealing with terrestrial dangers, such as military adversaries or surveillance technology. However, he insists that interstellar objects do not fall into this category. In his view, rocks, objects, or signals entering our solar system from deep space pose scientific questions rather than immediate security threats. Treating them as classified intelligence matters, he argues, reflects institutional anxiety rather than rational assessment. Loeb suggests that intelligence agencies often default to secrecy not because they possess extraordinary insights, but because they lack the tools and expertise to explain what they are observing. Throughout the discussion, Loeb emphasized that modern science advances through transparency, peer review, and collaboration, values that are often incompatible with military and intelligence protocols. He warned that when governments attempt to analyze anomalous space phenomena behind closed doors, they deprive the scientific community of the collective reasoning required to interpret rare and complex data. Astronomy, by its nature, relies on global cooperation, shared datasets, and open debate. Locking information away in classified archives, Loeb contends, increases confusion rather than clarity and fosters speculation that could have been avoided through openness. Loeb was careful to clarify that his criticism is not rooted in hostility toward government institutions or conspiracy thinking. He stated plainly that he does not expect intelligence agencies to have all the answers, nor does he fault them for encountering phenomena that defy existing models. What troubles him is their reluctance to admit uncertainty and seek help from experts who specialize in astrophysics, planetary science, and cosmology. Instead of releasing raw data for independent analysis, agencies often remain silent, creating an information vacuum that fuels misinformation and public distrust. One of Loeb's most pointed remarks during the interview was his insistence that intelligence agencies should focus on national security, drawing a firm boundary between defending borders and exploring the galaxy. He argued that the cosmos does not recognize political jurisdictions, and therefore studying it should not be constrained by national security frameworks designed for entirely different purposes. When governments attempt to control narratives around interstellar discoveries, Loeb suggests they risk politicizing science and undermining its credibility. He also criticized the way information is sometimes disseminated through official channels, including NASA, which he implied may be influenced by broader governmental caution. By releasing limited or heavily framed data, agencies may unintentionally obscure critical details needed for proper scientific interpretation. Loeb believes that this approach reflects institutional risk aversion rather than a genuine desire to understand anomalous objects. In the case of 3I/Atlas, he argued that the lack of comprehensive, openly shared data prevents researchers from determining whether such objects are natural, artificial, or something entirely unexpected. According to Loeb, space exploration fundamentally exists outside the traditional jurisdiction of governments, especially when it comes to knowledge generation rather than defense. He sees the universe as a shared heritage of humanity, one that should be studied collectively rather than guarded by a handful of classified institutions. By keeping findings shrouded in mystery, Governments are not only slowing discovery, but also missing an opportunity to inspire public engagement with science. Transparency, he argues, would not weaken national security, but strengthen public trust and scientific literacy. Frustrated by what he views as persistent bureaucratic obstruction, Loeb has chosen not to wait for institutional reform. Instead, he has taken a proactive approach by launching the Galileo Project, an independent scientific initiative designed to study UAPs and interstellar objects without relying on government-controlled data. The project operates through a global network of privately funded observatories, using openly available instruments and methodologies to collect unclassified data. By doing so, Loeb hopes to demonstrate that rigorous, transparent research into anomalous phenomena is not only possible, but scientifically productive. The Galileo Project represents Loeb's broader philosophy that science should not be constrained by fear of the unknown. Rather than dismissing anomalies or hiding them behind classification walls, he advocates confronting them directly with empirical tools and open discussion. The project's goal is not to prove extraordinary claims, but to establish a reliable, systematic way of observing and analyzing unusual objects in the sky. In Loeb's view, even null results are valuable if they are obtained through honest, transparent methods. Ultimately, Loeb's critique is less about any single interstellar object and more about how humanity chooses to approach the unknown. He argues that history shows scientific progress often begins with anomalies that challenge existing assumptions. Suppressing or ignoring such anomalies, he warns, risks repeating past mistakes, where fear and institutional inertia delayed major breakthroughs. By calling for openness, collaboration, and humility in the face of cosmic mysteries, Loeb is advocating for a scientific culture that prioritizes understanding over control. His message is clear. The universe is far too vast and complex for secrecy-driven institutions to handle alone. If humanity hopes to understand its place in the cosmos, Loeb believes it must move beyond bureaucratic reflexes and embrace the shared, open pursuit of knowledge. Only by doing so, he argues, can science fulfill its role as a tool for discovery rather than a casualty of silence.